Hey, what's up? What's up? Joe in Vegas back with another review. Sammy Hagar and The Circle. I don't want to leave out The Circle because the band he has is so good. They've been good for a while. Michael Anthony from Van Halen, Jason Bonham, John Bonham's kid, but on his own he's a great drummer, and Vic Johnson. But they bring so much to it. It's such a well-tuned machine. Anyway, I apologize about my voice if it sounds a little bit off. I'm recovering from COVID. It's what I get for going out to concerts every weekend. Hard to believe it's still out there, but I got it. Wasn't too bad. I wrote it out. But it is still out there. It's funny. Once you get it and you start telling people you have it, it's amazing how many people come out of the woodwork and tell you they have it, their parents have it, someone have it. So it's still out there. I don't think it's killing people. So just be aware. But these are the sacrifices I make for you. I put myself on the front lines and get COVID, but it's fine. It's worth it. If I'm going to get COVID, I want to get it at a concert and not at like a supermarket. So I'm going to keep living life. So tested negative yesterday for the first time in a week, and had some tickets for Sammy. Ticket prices went crazy. I don't know. The Palms lately has been the ticket. They start cheap. So I got my tickets in the pre-sale because I know I love Sammy and there's no way I'm missing it. I paid fucking $50 a ticket, and I was looking yesterday, they were going for $250, $300. So it sold out pretty quick. The place was packed. What can I say about Sammy Hagar? Sammy Hagar is a one-of-a-kind national treasure. The guy is just, he does his own thing, and he does it so well. I mean, he started being known for his voice. He just had this really, he can hit these notes in rock and roll that very few people can hit. And he was this wild man, this red rocker. He had these I Can't Drive 55 songs. I don't really need to get into Sammy's whole history. But, everybody knows the quick story where, David Lee Roth was no longer with Van Halen, and they made this incredible decision to bring in Sammy Hagar. And it caused like a rift in the universe. And it'd be split into two parties. There's Van Halen, David Lee Roth, and there's Van Halen, Sammy Hagar, and which one is better? And I don't think it's a fair question. I've asked myself that a million times, and I'm like, oh, it's David Lee Roth. And then you listen to some Sammy stuff with the Van Halen, you're like, oh, fuck, it might be Sammy Hagar. And you go back and forth, and I think most people feel that way, and the only way to wrap your head around all that, it's just two different bands. I mean, it's very rare for that to happen, but you just have to look at them as two different bands or two different completely eras of music that cannot be compared. I remember when, Van Halen, they made the announcement, nobody was sure what it was going to be like. And I remember on MTV, it was the build-up. The first video that they put out was When It's Love. And it was like, whoa, this might fucking work. And it was so different because they were so like mature in that video. I think Eddie was wearing a blazer, and the lighting was mature, and the way they shot it was mature, and it was very different from the spandex and the David Lee Roth kissing the camera and winking and doing all his David jumps and stuff. And it was a different thing, and it was like, okay, you could still hear Eddie's influence in there and Eddie's songwriting, all their songwritings. But it was like growing up. I felt like they grew up the way we kind of grew up. And to this day, I go back and forth, and there's no right answer. I don't think there is. I mean, people will fight it. I'm sure in the comments everybody will fight it. Oh, David Lee Roth, that's Van Halen. Sammy Hagar, that's I mean, I think they're equally great, and I think both sides bring something to the table. But this is not about that, even though it's always about that. The vibe I got, so Sammy went on, on his own. He ended up leaving or got thrown out. I think it's disputed between him and Eddie. Everybody knows Eddie, as talented and loved as he was, how awesome he was supposedly a pain in the ass. And the amount of lead singers they have probably verifies that. But he left. I think Gary Sharon from Extreme came in. I didn't mind those albums either. I think it was one album. He was pretty good too. But at the end of the day, no one really talks about that. It's Sammy and Eddie. And Sammy went on to do his own thing because he always kind of was his own thing. And the whole Cabo Wabo and tequilas and cantinas. And he just went on to make a tremendous amount of money. He became one of these legendary stories of these guys that made like $100 million. And he just, I don't know if he lives there or L.A. or goes back and forth, but he just created this beach vibe. It's like a Jimmy Buffett kind of thing. It's his own thing. And what happens is when you have that universe going for you, you become really attached to the fans. And he actually said in the show, like, you know, social media sucks and it's evil and blah, 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 but it's really fucking cool because it lets him connect with his fans. And that's very apparent in his shows. This is the third or fourth time I've seen him, and every time it's the same thing. He is in the front row, grabbing the whole show, grabbing pens and T-shirts and hats and signing them. And if you held up your baby in the front row, he would pick it up, sign its forehead, and put it back in the crowd with a big smile on his face. He interacts with his fans probably more than anybody I've ever seen, sometimes to a fault where, you know, you're in the middle of rocking a great song and he misses a couple bars of lyrics because he's signing someone's T-shirt or making a comment off mic to someone about their sign. It's great. I love it. That's the way every artist should be. He knows he's there because of his fans. He doesn't have to be there. The guy's worth $100 million, if not more. He doesn't have to be there, but he is having fun. And the fans are loving it. And there were a couple of people in the crowd that he even said, like, you know, I respond to my own comments on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And he goes, I recognize some of them. There's like 3 people in the crowd that I comment to all the time. I mean, he is really connected with his fans, and that's fucking awesome. But he looks great, and he sounds great, and he's fucking Sammy Hagar. And this show, to me, was incredible. I've seen him 3-4 times. You know, he's really, I was trying to look. Let me see if anybody posted it yet. They did not post the set list, so I don't know all the details of which song, but I'll tell you this that I know for sure. Excuse me, COVID. In the past times I've seen him, depending on who he was with, he doesn't play a lot of Van Halen. He plays a lot, usually 3 or 4 songs. The last time I saw him, he had a residency at the Stratosphere, so what he did with those was he spread out the Van Halen songs over a couple nights, so depending which night you got is which Van Halen. But I happened to see a press release when they announced this tour, and he said he's going to be doing heavy Van Halen, which is probably why I ran to buy the tickets. I could tell you off the top of my head the stuff like Pound Cake and 3 Lock Box he played, which is, you know, like I say, he mixes his songs and Van Halen songs, but this one was more Finish What He Started, Mas Tequila, Ain't Talking About Love. Michael Anthony sang that one, I think, if I remember correctly. They did a Zeppelin song, Best of Both Worlds, Right Now. I think he did Best of Both Worlds. Yeah, he did do Best of Both. Maybe. I don't remember. I'm just looking at an older set list. Heavy Metal, Can't Drive 55. They did When It's Love. He did a lot of that. Every single song that he played was either a Van Halen hit or his hit, pretty much, or a cover. Well, the only cover was that. He did When Eagles Fly. I remember that. What else did he do? I'm trying to think. But it was a perfect mix and a perfect thing. He started at 8 on the dot, so I missed the first song. I don't even know what the first song was. I was shocked how quickly he started. No opening act, 8 o'clock. The show was done by 10, I think. He didn't look tired. I mean, for his age, he's got to be mid-70s. He does not look tired. He looked happy, smiley. They all did. Michael Anthony looks great, sounds great. All of them look. It was Jason Bono's birthday. I think he said he was 57. So these guys, for their age, are still rocking it. It's a rocking show. Sammy was shredding on the guitar. He was shredding on his voice. I loved it. I just loved it. I thought it was such a great, fun show. If you're a fan, scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 9.7. It was pretty epic show. It really was. I don't have much else to say other than you're kind of in awe of the guy when you're at the show. You really are. You're just, you know, there's guys who do it and there's guys who really fucking do it and do it at the top of their game for 40 years probably. He's one of those guys. He's just on a mantle. He's on that Mount Rushmore. I always use that terminology, but he really is. I don't know if Sammy Hagar gets enough credit for what he's done for rock and roll and what he's brought to the table and how unique he is and how incredible his voice is for this long. I mean, it's just incredible. So, and the love he gives back to his fans, that's really what stood out for me on the night, other than the music. And it's so nice to just fucking hear Van Halen and to hear certain songs and just see 2 of the guys on stage at least. Obviously, Eddie's, you know, gone. Michael Anthony did pay a couple minutes second. He did do a call out for Eddie. Say, this is for you, Eddie. Which was nice, but you know, you get the chills when you hear some of these songs and you get to see 2 of the members of Van Halen together playing it. It's nice, man. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice throwback. It's what this music thing's all about. It's really cool. So thanks for listening. Comment. Let me know if you were there. If someone has a set list, post it on the comments or go post it on setlist.com. And subscribe. And thanks for listening. I'll see you at the next show. Bye-bye.